Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Patty DeFondi, owner of PattyDeFondi.com Cake School, where I teach cake business owners how to enhance their business. I also teach sugar flowers and fondant and cake decorating skills. This week on my YouTube channel, I'm going to teach you a very simple filler flower that you really don't need many supplies at all for. And this is a great flower to use when you're just trying to add a little bit more volume in your sugar flower decorations. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to make these delicate little filler flowers. They're very easy to make. You just need a few supplies. We're going to need some 28 gauge wire. You can use green or white, whichever you prefer, and you want to put a hook on the end of them. And what I did with that is I just got the pliers. I'll show you on the other end, and you just grab the end and you pull it down and you make a hook. Now, if you're doing several of these, you can grab maybe 5 or 6 at a time and just line them up and then hook them all together. So you don't need to do them individually in case you're doing a lot of them. And then you're going to need this tool right here, and it has a tubular point to it. This is a Wilton brand, but you can use any brand. You'll need some edible glue with a brush. You'll need some color to color dust and give them a little bit of dimension. And then you will need something for the center of the flower. So what I'm using is some ivory colored dragées. And you can use whatever you'd like. You can make a tiny ball of white gum paste and stick that in there, whichever you prefer. And then you are also going to need a small pair of scissors. All right, so we're going to take our gum paste and we're going to make it nice and smooth. And you want to get a nice smooth ball so it doesn't have any cracks in it. And then you're going to roll it slightly into a tubular. Okay, and then once we have this tubular, then you're going to get your tool and you're going to push it through the center. You can, if your gum paste is a little soft, you can add a little bit of cornstarch to the end of your tool so it doesn't stick, and then just push it through and just spin it around a little bit so you have a nice even thickness all the way around, and then bring it back out again. So you have this little piece right here, and then you get your scissors and you cut it into 5 pieces. Try to make them as even as possible. 2, 3, 4, 5. And if they're not even, that's okay. You can just try to go as even as you can. And then you want to flatten them out a little bit. And then you just pinch the edges just a little bit just to get them more rounded. You want them a little bit rounded. You don't want them too squared off. And then you want to flatten them out. And you have 5 petals here. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your wire and you're going to add a little bit of edible glue onto it. Now remember, we placed a hook on the end of this, on the end of the flower, on the end of the wire. And then you just want to push the wire through the center and just weave it down that tube coming out the bottom, and you bring it through and you just pull it down far enough that it's not showing. And then what you want to do is you take the base here and you give it a little spin, and you spin the base and you just bring this piece down a little bit, and you can take off the excess. And what this will do, it will attach the gum paste to the wire. Okay, then once you have it on the wire, you just want to even it out, and then you want to turn it upside down on your pad. Now, I didn't mention earlier the supplies for 2 more supplies, your pad and a small ball tool. And then you just want to take the ball tool and you just kind of give it a dimple. Give each petal a dimple. Okay. And then what you can do, you can bring your petals up and you can give them a little pinch again at the tip. You don't want to remove that dimple. You just want to pinch them at the tip so they look a little bit more realistic. Or what you can also do to make them look more closed, you can do the dimple on the inside and curl the petals upward. And then this would give it a more closed look. All right, so we're going to let this completely dry. Now while they're drying, I'm going to show you an extra bonus piece here and show you how to make a very simple bud. So you can make tons of these ahead of time and place them in your supply list, and then you'll have buds available for filler flowers. You can make all different colors, but buds are very easy to make. You want to get another one of the 28 gauge wires. If you're making larger buds, remember you want to use 26 gauge. And then you're going to get the wire cutter and you're going to give it a little loop. Okay, then we're going to just make this into a very smooth bowl. Make sure you get all the cracks out. And then you're going to kind of elongate it a little bit and make it a little bit of a balloon shape. Okay, and make sure it's all nice and smooth. All right, then you get a little bit of edible glue and you place it onto the hook end of the wire. And then you push the wire through so it's most of the way through. Actually, we don't need this pad here. Okay, so then you want to get your bottom piece and you want to just kind of elongate it down a little bit and make sure it adheres to the wire. You can add a little bit of cornstarch on your fingers if it's sticking to your fingers. Okay, then you want to just give this ball a nice elongated look, kind of like a Q-tip. Actually, it's more like a balloon than a Q-tip, so you want to make it look like a balloon. And then to give the bud looking like there's going to be flower petals opening, you can get a rocker tool. You don't have to use this particular kind. You can actually use any kind of rocker tool you may have. You can use this as a rocker tool, and you just get the top part of it. Now, if we're talking about a 5-petal bud, so you want to make 5 little indents in here. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the point is to make it look like it has petals that are getting ready to open. Okay, and then that's it. Then you can, this will be a bud. You just dry it as a bud. Okay, so our flowers have dried, and I'm just going to add a little bit of different color to them to give them dimension. A good idea is to use a color dust that is slightly darker than the actual flower, and it just helps give them dimension. So you just brush on a little bit of color dust. You get some, this way it gives the flower some lighter color and some darker color. Okay, now our final piece that we're going to do, we're going to add a center to these flowers. And I'm using small little dragées. These are ivory colored. You can use your imagination and use whatever you'd like to make the center. All right, I have a small dragée here and I have a little bit larger one. All right, so let's get the small one, and all you want to do is you put a dab of edible glue in the center, and then you just drop the dragée into it and you let it dry. And we'll do the same thing for this one. Drop a little bit of edible glue onto it, get your dragée, and drop it into the center. And isn't that adorable? You have these cute little adorable filler flowers. And the final thing you want to do is steam them. And what the steaming, you want to wait until the dragées dry on the flowers, then you steam them, and the steaming will help bring those colors out, and it'll give it more dimension. This is a very simple way to add fullness to your sugar flower arrangements. You can make these purple and put a whole bunch together, and you can make an arrangement of violets. So you can use them in a variety of different arrangements. And then you can also add a little bud in here too. So we have a bud that's going to be opening up. And the bud, let me put these down here. Now when you're coloring the bud, you want to get a little bit of green. And the green, just make a little bit of green at the top and a little bit at the base. And what the green at the top will do, and it actually shows like it's a young flower, a flower that's getting ready to bloom. So the green will give it a little bit more dimension. Okay, there you have it. I would love to hear and see how you have made these sugar flowers, these filler flowers, and added them to arrangements in your cakes. If you would like to send me a message at info@pattydefandi.com, I would love to hear from you. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe. By subscribing, you'll have quick access to my channel where I upload new tutorials and new cake decorating tips and business tips. And don't forget to check out some other tutorials that I have on my channel here. And I also invite you to go to my website at www.pattydefandi.com, where you will find a huge amount of resources for cake decorating, for cake business tips. Head on over there when you get a chance. All right, folks, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.